becoming financially self-sustainable, drastically fall down. This is a huge problem in most of the Middle East, as I said, in Indonesia, in Haiti, those are really, really big challenges. So I'm going to stop here for a second. There's 10 of us, so we can have an open discussion. Comment, question, stories.
I would just like to add up because it's not just I also feel the same time in
And I feel like it's because a lot of us were taught from a very young age that money is almost a dirty word, and you never really discuss finances, and you never really understand how finances work. I have 2 business degrees, and I still sometimes ask my husband, my profit and loss sheet, is this okay? And this is a cultural also issue that we have. I think it's a woman's issue. We just don't like to talk about money because we were not taught about money. And then you have all these amazing conferences and all these amazing resources where men are taught all about finances and all about mergers and acquisitions and all these things, and we are empowered, which is a huge problem because it creates such a disconnect in the market.
I want one clarity. When you are talking about women entrepreneurship, are you talking about it in rural areas or in across the board? Because if I see India at this point of time, since it has a huge entrepreneurial ecosystem, there are a lot of women who are now jumping into it by choice, right? The second one, something that I see as a leadership challenge because we work very closely with entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs, is that there's a huge ambition gap. I don't know how I came to close it. I don't know. Maybe the journey, the fact that all of us are here, the fact that all of us are learning from each other, to me is really the way out. But that would be the course, and everything else follows that.
And when it comes down to making a choice between your business and whatever else you have going on in your life, female entrepreneurs are more likely to drop the business and continue with everything else that's going on in their life. And this is where leadership training and all of these support systems really need to be in place. And this is where you need to have the support at home as well. Because if you don't have a partnership at home, you will not be able to succeed in any other arena of your life. So, yeah. So there are a lot of women-oriented support groups, such as this forum, the By Business Women Council, that I work very, very closely with. And it is a huge opportunity for us to build programs and curriculums that are actually impactful. But for that, we need to step away from just using buzzwords. It has to have meat. We have the bones, and I really like how our bones are looking currently, but we have to start adding the meat onto it and adding specific policies and specific trainings and specific skill sets into those women-oriented organizations. But also, for a lot of women entrepreneurs that I work with, they tell me the most important thing that I get is the fact that I feel like I'm not alone. So we can't lose that softness in the approach. I would call it softness, but we need to start building on top of that because this is not enough. We need to start building proper skills. Investors understanding the value, investors understand the value of paper. They all know that they're going to probably get a higher return on investment. They know that the company is probably going to be more resilient. There is amazing data out there from the World Bank onwards on why it's important to invest in female enterprises. There is a female angel investor network that just started in Dubai maybe 2 years ago called Womena that empowers women from the Middle East and North Africa with some disposable income to actually invest. And this is what I think the next big step is going to be, not just empowering the female entrepreneurs, but educating female investors. I work with a lot of investors. I know maybe 4 female investors. And I know a lot of women who are very, very successful and who definitely have disposable income. This is just not the first thing that comes to their mind, reinvesting into other female-owned businesses. And then when they do invest, they kind of follow the big boys. So it's like, oh, it's the next Uber for, and if somebody says an Uber for or an Airbnb for one more time, I'm gonna quit. Not everything is an Uber or an Airbnb, and it shouldn't be. But you can't just follow where the big boys are going and that's it. You have to start thinking about, okay, how do I create more value for fellow female entrepreneurs? Yes, I wouldn't mind either, but just not an Airbnb for, I don't know, everything that I do with us. Yeah, for juices. Now, I have an Uber for one drink, but I would never need an Uber for one drink. Anyhow, SDG is giving a global agenda to work towards to. And as I said, this is a huge opportunity for the first time probably in development history. Again, this is an opportunity, but it will be a missed opportunity if we leave it at the declarative level. So now we have made a commitment, and then we're going to come to the UNGC UN Global Compact seminar or conference, and we're going to talk about our beautiful commitment. And then 2 years later, we're not going to have anything to show for. So every opportunity is amazing, but it really now is about how we're going to be using that opportunity. And I have to say that as of now, I'm not seeing a lot of private sector actually engaging fully with the sustainable development goals. They all focus on the last one, which is building partnerships, because that can mean literally anything. But it's very difficult to get into the nitty-gritty of other goals. Tech is king, especially for women entrepreneurs who cannot work outside the house. So last January, I went to the Gaza Strip completely apolitically because they have an accelerator called Gaza SkyX, which is sponsored by Google. And it is the only accelerator in the world in which 51% of all companies are owned by women. Silicon Valley does not have an accelerator that has 51% women ownership. Why do these women now enter the workforce? And it's a region with the highest unemployment rate in the world. It's over 40% currently. Because they don't have to leave the house. Because they can now trade with people who sit in Dubai, Delhi, Mumbai, or Indonesia from their house. So tech, we need to get more women to understand and to be able to build tech companies. This, I think, is going to change the landscape of entrepreneurship completely and even out the playing field and maybe even tip it over in our favor. I really, really do think so. Raise awareness of the benefits of women joining the workforce. Every country now has some sort of a national strategy about getting more women into the workforce, simply because they understand it's a huge financial benefit. It's adding so much to the GDP every year if you have equal representation in the workforce that they really are pushing these agendas. Now the problem is, in a lot of countries, the problem is not anymore glass ceilings, it's sticky floors. So you're going to have a lot of women entering the workforce and kind of getting stuck at one level, and it's all, we have so many more women graduating from universities, right? And entering the workforce than boys. And then we lose them somewhere in the middle management. And then at the top, you're going to have a couple of women here and there. But the problem is, how do we, okay, from the top, we understand the strategy. We know that we want to have equal representation of women. From the bottom and from the middle, we're not doing enough to push them. So it's great to have a really, really overarching high-level strategy, but we need to have, again, quick, easy-to-follow policies on all levels of management to get that representation equal into the workforce. Questions, comments, examples?
I think mine is I'm just adding to point number 3, which is the SDG. I realize that it makes it easier for a business when you are tailoring your goals and your objectives towards the SDG. And this makes your portfolio come to the top of any funding that is coming in or any other company.
And especially for you as a social entrepreneur, I think this is a huge opportunity that not a lot of social entrepreneurs are yet using. So for you who are at the forefront of that, it's a huge opportunity to access funding. But a lot of social entrepreneurs, when I talk to them about it, they just tell me, that's for the big companies. It's complicated. But it's really not. You actually have sub-goals that you can just pick one and say, okay, this is my agenda. You don't even have to think about what your social goal is anymore. So, yeah, it's a huge, huge opportunity. That's my husband. Action points. 1. Engage with the stakeholders. To come back to my example from the beginning, of the Indian company who wanted the CSR program. They engaged with a lot of stakeholders, a lot of McKinsey types, and a lot of other people. They did not engage with their beneficiaries. They didn't ask them. And this happens so often. You would not believe it. My first project on the ground was in Indonesia. And we spent a month living in the jungle. We were trying to bring a biogas company made out of cow dung. Oh, okay. So we went around to talk to people about, let's see how they live, what do they have, what kind of resources do they have, and so on. And nobody had a refrigerator in their house. So I came back with my beautiful London Masters, all fresh and sparkling, but of course I know what they would buy. If they had more money, they would buy fridges. And then we designed a whole program around that. Oh my God, people will buy refrigerators, it's going to be awesome. And then I sat down, and the woman from the village came to talk to us, and she looked at me literally like I was crazy. Like, we would not buy refrigerators, we would buy mobile phones. Because a mobile phone can tell me exactly how much money I can sell my produce for, because I can see how much my neighbor is selling for. I can call my daughter or son in Jakarta. I can communicate with my neighbors. Why do I need a fridge when I still don't have enough income to buy food in bulk for a week? When I buy it for the day and I eat it before it goes to waste. Yeah, that's a good point. So always, always, always engage with the stakeholder and don't assume that just because you will do something, they will do the same thing, because they probably won't do the same thing. We have one gentleman in the audience, which makes me very happy. This, I think, is the biggest challenge of conferences and forums like this. We need to engage men in the organizations. We need to engage men in the private and the public sector, simply because they tend to be in the positions of power. So if men are in the leadership positions in most companies and we're not talking to them, then who's going to make the decision within the company to change the corporate culture, for instance, to make it more women friendly? We can talk to each other, but we're preaching to the choir. So the action point is really for next year to aim to have 10% male representation at this kind of forum. Fostering intrapreneurship especially. So within companies, giving employees an opportunity to create and execute their own projects that fall under the company's strategies. I think that's an amazing way of A, giving more flexibility to women in the workforce, and B, giving them more leadership freedom without exposing them, putting people on the limit kind of. Because once you're in a leadership position, there's always that risk of, what if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? I'm going to lose my job, and what about my kids and my livelihood and so on. So entrepreneurship is a great way of fostering those leadership skills in kind of a more safe and innovation-oriented environment. And entrepreneurship, as you said, women in India are now jumping onto entrepreneurship because it's amazing. It gives you the flexibility, it gives you the freedom, hopefully, and it gives you, hopefully, financial stability, which are all amazing, amazing things. So I do believe with rise of tech, with rise of entrepreneurship, that we're going to be seeing a lot more of female engagement in the workforce, just not in the traditional way that we think about when we talk about it. Maybe we won't have CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, but we have so many CEOs of entrepreneurial companies, which is amazing. We don't have to do things the same way that have been done forever. We don't have to follow the same path that a man said is a successful career path. We can redefine success, and we can use entrepreneurship to help us do that. Because success for me is not being, I knew my company is never going to be a Fortune 500 company. I always knew that. I always knew no one's going to buy my company and I'm going to retire in the Maldives. I always knew that. But for me, success was, look, if I want to at 3 p.m. go and take a walk with my dog, I can. And this was really, really important to me. I get to travel, I get to speak and learn from other women. This was important. So there's no need to kind of fall into the trap of this is the only way to live a successful life. Because it's not. Chances are, whatever you're doing, someone else is doing the same thing at the same time. Just a little bit different. None of us probably here reinvented the wheel. And if you have, you can hire me. I will be very grateful. So talk to others in the ecosystem. Find out what's going on. Share ideas. Corporates don't do that. We, as entrepreneurs, can do that a lot easier, and that's a huge advantage because you can call, and especially here in the social impact sector. Then your goal is to forward that social impact, right? Not to put someone else out of business. So this is an amazing opportunity that we all have, and an action point is to go and talk to not just potential partners or potential clients, but talk to your potential competition as well. Because there's so much that can be learned. A little bit of espionage on the side, no, especially in the social impact sector. Because that's why we can really start building the best practices and start understanding what works and what does not work. SDGs again. If you're focusing on water or sanitation, if you're focusing on education, gender doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? Gender is an intersection of other socioeconomical, political, and other activities. So it can always be plugged into whatever your current product or strategy or project is. So if you're thinking about water, Coca-Cola in India was doing a project on putting pipes into villages so that women don't have to go and collect the water. And they put the pipes on places where they talked to community leaders about it. And community leaders were all men, so they didn't really understand what the women would want or would not want. And not a single woman went to use that pipe, they all went to use the other pipe. Because the way that you would have to walk was completely unsafe to these new pipes. So nobody was using them. Let's also talk to our stakeholders. But they were focusing mostly on water, right? That's their FEG, is water and sanitation. If they only thought about ending the gender aspect, their social impact and the return on that financial investment would be so much bigger. So nothing exists on its own. It's all interconnected, especially gender. We are half of the world's population. Obviously, everything from education to where the toilet is affects us as well, right? That's it, actually. I'm very quick. So, now we're gonna open, yes. Your example from your parts of the world, from companies that you have worked on, anything.
Mine is a question and an action point on entrepreneurship and also on collaboration. In how do you focus, especially if I'm within the company, I'm encouraging also more entrepreneurship and people to come up with their ideas. How do you make sure that there is focus in the business so that you also don't lose direction with the company's goal? And then also when you're collaborating, how do you make sure that your systems, in as much as you are working towards the same goals with another company, how do you make sure that your systems are they're compatible?
So first, fostering entrepreneurship and not losing sight of your business goal, right? So it's all about well-designed programs within the company. So maybe to start with, don't give people free reign of what is the idea or the project that they can start with. But say, look, this is our goal for the end of next year. So come up with different projects and different initiatives that will help us achieve that goal. And that also fosters really, really positive kind of competition within the company because everybody wants to be the one whose idea gets implemented. Heineken did that and it works really, really well. They do it globally every single year. So if you give people free reign, they'll come up with ideas that have nothing to do with your business. So don't do that, but just kind of give them structure. Does that answer the question? And the second one is how when you collaborate with people who could be your competitors, how do you make sure that your systems are compatible? Collaborating with your competitor sounds almost like an oxymoron, right? Nobody wants to do it. But what I mean is more about exchanging knowledges and exchanging best practices. And being open about this is what I did and what didn't work. And this is where people usually respond in the same way. No one's going to point the finger and laugh at you. Some people might, okay? But more like they will, say, oh, this is interesting because this is what we did in the same area and it also didn't work. So then you know, okay, I can cross one more action point out of my list, right? They didn't work for them, so maybe it will work for me then. It's just about creating, and so in a lot of entrepreneurial, very developed parts of the world, like London and New York, they have this entire failure tests where you pitch how you failed, and then your competitors come on stage and they pitch how they failed as well. this is inconceivable in Dubai. People would rather die than tell you how they failed or admit that they failed. So it's just about creating a safe space for companies and individuals to come and share their experiences. Because companies are made up of individuals at the end of the day. It's not some mysterious creature that just came up. So yeah, it's about open dialogue. We work a lot with, we have one major competitor in Dubai, and people are shocked when they figure out that him and I follow each other on Instagram, and like he's on my Snapchat. Why not? We're in social impact. If he works, if he succeeds, that's amazing. That's a win for us because it means less of that issue in the community. And his dogs are really cute.
I think I just wanted to add to the first question that you asked. So when we have worked with entrepreneurs, they are very interested in creating more entrepreneurs within the organization. And the way that we have seen it working is when you align a team around a certain purpose which is important for the growth of the organization. So this company was working in the audiovisual space and they wanted to expand into telemedicine and telepresence, right? So they created small units within the organization. Each of these teams were given a fund. They said, this is the money that we are willing to invest, and for 3 years there'll be no questions asked to you. You assume P&L responsibility for that team. You do the sales, you handle the operations. There's a core support group which is available within the organization for the team. And the CEO would work as a guide, a mentor, and they would have monthly meetings to review how the business was going. So that has been one of the most effective ways of actually developing entrepreneurs within the organizations that I've seen.
I would actually like to go back to your point about the ambition gap because that's been nagging at the back of my head ever since you said it. So many times when I speak to men in organizations or in C-suite positions, and I ask them, okay, why do you have no women on your board, or why are there no female speakers at this event, or why? Like, oh, they didn't want to. They just didn't want to, and I don't think that's true. I think that they didn't even ask. Or they didn't ask in the right way, or they set up a corporate culture that doesn't even allow. So I'll give you an example. I met this unbelievable woman last October. She was the one who coined the term impact investing. She was the first female CEO on Wall Street and like high powers and whatnot. And in her first job, she was the only woman in the boardroom when she reached the C-suite, and she was 8 months pregnant at the time when the CEO decided that they're all going to go on a team building trip to decide on the strategy for the next year. So this is not a small thing. This is billions of dollars depend on that strategy. You know what the team building activity was? Deep sea fishing. And she was 8 months pregnant. So obviously, who was the only person that did not go and did not put her voice in was her, because everybody else was like, oh, why? It's so much fun. And if you ask that CEO, I can guarantee you that he would not understand what he did wrong. Because it's such a fun boys' day out, right? And I think that the problem is that corporate cultures are so often set in such a way that even if a woman does have ambition, but it's not just purely ambition, but she also, heaven forbid, wants to have a family on the side, it's not possible. So I think we need to start really looking into rebuilding corporate cultures globally, because this is all over the world. When I say this example at the conference in Dubai and it was only men, no one understood why this was a problem. No one. They were like, yeah, and so it was so much fun. Like they went deep sea fishing. No one got it. So yeah. No, don't worry. I don't know if it's long enough. Yeah, don't worry about that. It's for the video. Yeah, it's okay. So I walked in late. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, but I've been a sustainability professional as well for more than 5 years, and so even done my master's in it. And I worked with the government of India, Ministry of Renewable Energy, for 3 years. And you wouldn't believe it, it's such an immense world. So, and not only that, some of the projects we did, right, renewable energies, clearly like a stream of sustainability. It's for women and communities and decentralized energy. So the government officials actually make the policy, close those doors,
and of course there's aid agencies, etc. And then you translate that, um, and we're not being given access to actually interacting with the community. I mean, like we do it, but not. Yeah. Like it's just so flawed. So the whole sustainability thing, I think it's just a greenwash. Yeah. Like, and I think there needs to be more conversation. The conversation is just lacking. So you have the NGO professionals who just talk in closed doors. Yeah. Then you have interfaith leaders and their organizations which reach out to like masses, like millions. Yeah. So the NGOs have a bias against them. Yeah. They don't want to talk to each other. Then the government has a massive, the government likes talking to interfaith people. Yeah. The Indian, current Indian one. I'm just saying because I've been in this field and they don't want to talk to the NGOs because the NGOs have a very radical approach to taking on the government and they have a very reactive and defensive approach. So actually the only issue of sustainability is communication. That's all we need to change.
And also, I read there is an Indian scientist whose name I forgot. I'm really sorry, but she wrote a book called A Field of Her Own, which is a play on Virginia Woolf, A Room of Her Own, which explores land ownership in India and increase or decrease of domestic violence. But what she says is super interesting and relevant is that you need to have between 25 and 33% of women on a decision-making body for the decision to be A, sustainable, and B, impactful for women. So there is a number. But what happens is you have a government, and this happens all over the world, you have a governmental or a community leadership board, and then they put one woman because they found her somewhere. And like, oh look, it's a photo op, we have one woman. That's not a critical mass. You need 25 to 33%. This is scientifically proven. Everybody knows that. Everybody should know that who is in the decision-making process. Yeah. Even if they do know, they don't care because it's a photo op thing. So it's a huge, huge, huge problem.
There are a lot of them who are co-founding companies, with a male member. And therefore, a lot of times the woman does not get the credit for the kind of work that she's putting into building that business. There are strong biases at work. For example, we were listening to this co-founder of a electronic wallet company. And she said whenever they would go and talk to an investor, if there was a question regarding technology, they would automatically turn to the husband. While she was the one who was handling technology. So these are the kind of biases that are really existing on a day-to-day basis. And in corporates, we have seen women who are senior if you look at their role and their designation. But then you find that the real decision-making powers are not with them.
So I'll give you two examples. What happened yesterday at this conference? So I gave this gentleman my business card, and it clearly says CEO. And he kept asking me, "What does your husband do?" And I was like, "He's my co-founder." "Oh, that's so nice. You help him out." It says CEO, but okay. And then the second thing happened. We were having this meeting with potential investors, and they came into the office, which was my office, and they were greeting everyone. People who they almost greeted my office boy and not me. That's how it was like that. And then they looked at me and they were like, "I would like a cappuccino," and they just turned their back to me. And then I sat down and I was like, "And I would like a green tea." So who's gonna go and make one? So this happens all the time. It's just you do not if you enter a room, you're automatically assumed you're not in a position of power. Yeah. So as coaches, are there any coaches and mentors in the room? Yeah. As coaches, you need to work so hard on getting women to recognize microaggression and microaggression in language because it's language that's used continuously to put us down and put us in a place of less power. And a lot of women don't even recognize that.
I think it's interesting bringing up the topic of rebuilding corporate culture because I think that's what the next level of women empowerment should be because the woman is so empowered, but the man is still speaking the language of 10, 20, 50 years ago. So it's up to us to redefine that conversation and actually have talks where we're like, if I'm having a bad day, it's not because I'm on my period. You know, it, we need to be very honest about it's the truth. I mean, we as women have a duty to make men understand what the woman conversation looks like. And if two women are sitting together, we are not gossiping. We are actually talking about business and we're sharing. And I think that's how, as coaches and as women leaders, we can rebuild the corporate culture.
And also, this is why I have major problems with a lot of very high-powered women in the Arab world, because when they make me feel like, bye, now it's your problem. I have nothing to do with you anymore. And they like become like men timestamps, you know, it's like zero, zero, any sort of emotion or understanding towards what you might be going through. It's like men on steroids, really. And this is why the corporate culture needs to change, because they really feel like this is the only way they're going to be taken seriously, you know. We have 15 more minutes to doing about things and offer solutions for things. So, yeah. Or you can just go and have confidence.
I'd like to hear a bit about the sustainable platform. How how do you do it? And how do you if I wanted to go and look at what's good?
So, let me give you a bit of a background. I moved to Dubai 5 years ago after getting my master's in social entrepreneurship. And when I moved to the Middle East and started applying for jobs, no one understood what my degree was in. No one. They would look at me and say, "Oh, so you're going to run our Facebook and Twitter?" No, not really. So after a year of really random jobs, I was a nanny in a kindergarten in a toddler's group. I've never changed a diaper in my life up until that moment. So very, very random jobs. After a year, I said, you know what, if you can't get a job, then just create a job because, well, I don't sit at home. And that's how the sustainability platform came to be. And when we started, we had the same issue that most female entrepreneurs do, which is we wanted to be the answer to everyone's problem. Every single thing you can imagine that's in a social impact sector, I was going to do it. Everything. Impossible. So, in the past couple of years, we focused strongly on measuring social impact. That's our number one priority. Because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Yes, it's hard, but it's very important. You have to do it. Two, female entrepreneurs through mentoring and giving very, very practical skills from A to B. And three is impact investing. So these are now our three core activities because these are the three things that we figured out in the impact-driven businesses like the most. So in India and in the Middle East, we work a lot on CSR strategies as well, especially here because companies have to give a certain percentage to CSR, which I think is still the only country in the world that does that. And a lot of people just don't know what to do with it, so we help them use those funds to actually create sustainable, scalable, and measurable social impact. And then for me, the biggest passion is, and it's actually what needs to work for me. I'm starting a leadership academy, which is going to focus solely on men and boys, and to look at gender-based violence from the other angle. Because we're constantly telling women, "Oh, keep safe," but we never tell the boys, "I don't know, don't beat up your wife once you have her." So this is the next step. Very exciting.
Can you mention, I just went to your platforms, you mentioned triple bottom line and yeah, so that's really good, John.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you actually done case studies of some of the companies you transformed?
Yeah, we have a lot of case studies, which I can give you my email address later.
Yeah. But isn't that a challenge in UAE? Because in India it's a very big challenge. How do you actually go about it? Have you had any strategies and how do you go about it?
Yeah, in UAE now, there's a lot of talk about green because obviously where we live is completely inconsistent with human life, right? We have no water, we have nothing basically. So it's a lot about renewable energies and that part of the triple bottom line, the planet part of it. And obviously profit because it's profit. Um, the good thing about UAE is that things move incredibly quickly. If there is a directive one day from the top office, the next day every single company is going to be looking for reports. Things move very, very, very quickly. I found it to be a little bit more challenging in India, even though there's so much more understanding about the need. People understand what the point of social impact is and what the point of sustainability is, but things just move much, much slower. And this has been a big challenge for us here. But for working with some grassroots organizations and NGOs and stuff like that, there's just so much more to be done here, and the impact is almost immediate, which I really like about working. Yeah. But yeah, I can send you our portfolio, a little deck, and some case studies if you want.
And also the CSR partner part of it, like we have an accreditation process for a person to be a partner in like any organization.
We're a very small organization, so it's more about building our personal connections and interviewing with potential partners and so on. It's interesting because here I actually found quite a few people who wanted to figure out how they can work on building partnerships with us with CSR, so it's been a really good couple of days for us. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Any group picture?
Also, if you guys want slides, I can send it to you. I just left some of my cards here if you guys want. Oh, you like me over.
और क्या आते समय लिया था नया कितने का है 800 रुपये का है ये तो नकली है वैसे मोड़ूंगा ये मेड इन इंडियन है ना
Computer company model for the relations towards ourselves, towards employees. So I can say as a manager I succeeded. And this picture, I was the manager already 14 years. And I was bored. I was bored because I thought I've seen already everything. And I felt I was in my comfort zone. And I felt I'm not learning fast enough. So I decided to finish my career in this company and went to another company. And now I would ask you to go further. In this company, this was a totally different company. International, with 2,000 employees, with the production facilities in Slovenia, Serbia, United Arab Emirates, in Russia, and along with 20 selling company around, mostly around Europe. And you see that the board was a huge board, but very equal already at that time. Half of us were women, yes, half of us were men. And this time was for me really the time for developing my leadership. Why? I got a title Competence Development Manager, but I didn't have any subordinates. So the title was, wow, nice, high, but without a team. So each goal I wanted to achieve, the only chance was to achieve this goal through collaboration with others. And this was really my training, how to collaborate, how to inspire, how to persuade, how to motivate, how to really engage other people without having formal power. This is for me the leadership. Leadership that really comes from inside. So after that, I started to realize that my leadership role, it's really something that it can be only unique as yours. Yours will be unique, different than mine, and if I want to copy somebody, I will not be successful. So I started to really build on myself. Of course, also before I did this, but now I started to do this consciously. And I started to develop also other dimensions, also spiritual dimensions of myself. This sun was a symbol for me, how to develop my leadership role, how to really crystallize my personal mission, what is my way of leading. And I crystallize it as that I give impetus for change, and I pave the way seeking for fairness for all. So, and then I realized this is my mission. I started to really live it. So if you go further, what about collaborative leadership? I see and I think that there is a need to develop as many leaders as possible. Because if I'm the leader, if James the leader, you all are the leaders, then we really have the power to change something, for the profound changes. And we need to learn how to collaborate. And we need to together create our common vision, so that each of us knows in which direction we are going to, and each of us knows what is our role. So, if I'm the leader, if you can go just back for one more, back. If I'm the leader, and I'm an engineer, that's why I like these models. And this is the picture of a leader who knows, firstly, with this son, who understands him or herself, who knows how to collaborate with others, who understands, of course, the business model, who understands the society, who has also the expert knowledge, and the other step towards collaborative leadership, that the leader, he or she, really collaborates with others. And then we can get a new forms of collaborations, like internet. Internet is an excellent metaphor of the new forms of collaboration that will emerge. And now if we go further, again, my engineering passion, I want to explain also to the people who are not so intuitive, who wants to have steps and models to understand something. What's the difference between command and control mode, in which unfortunately still a lot of companies are operating, to collaborative leadership? If we take 3 dimensions, if we take the dimension of collaboration, the trust, and the responsibility. If there's no trust and no collaboration, then we are in, of course, no responsibility. Then we are in command control mode. If we have the trust, if there's a lack of collaboration, then we have leadership, when each takes responsibility for hers or his own space. But this is not enough anymore. for our VUCA world. We all need to think together. That's why collaborative leadership is when we are all responsible, we all take the responsibility, where there's a trust among us and where there's a collaboration among us. So collaborative leadership means I'm 100% responsible for our mission, for our vision. I have 100% trust in me and you and the complete team, and I know how to collaborate. If you go further, this is very much connected with the evolution of consciousness. And if we stay on the level of the individual, I like these steps very much because they are presenting us the evolution of individual consciousness. How it goes from empathy, anguish, fear, greed, anger, to the indifference, and then up to the scales, to exploration, collaboration, power within, and further. If you want to have innovative organizations, there is a need that each employee in the organization is at least in the level of exploration, so that he or she sees the world through the lens of curiosity. He or she wants to explore the world, not to be afraid of the world. And if we want to collaborate, really, genuinely collaborate, then we have to go even further. We have to develop ourselves even further. And I believe that this is connected with the universal evolution of consciousness. If you go further, you'll see this. This is Mayan pyramid. And if you are familiar with Mayan calendar, perhaps you know that this calendar talks about the evolution of consciousness, and that the evolution of consciousness came on with 9 different waves. I will just briefly mention last 3 waves. The 7th wave was the evolution for power, and this was the era of power. And many organizations at that time, of course, constructed hierarchical systems which were based on power. After this era of power, era of ethics came. So we were faced with many scandals that got out of the surface because the power was not enough powerful anymore to push, to suppress them. And now we are in the era of co-creation, where we really have open potential to co-create. And I believe that together, conscious on individual level and universal consciousness are doing a lot for us. Of course, we need to do also ourselves. If you go further. And I would like to present here also the model, evolutionary model, how organizations are changed also. And this model is based on the work of Violeta Bulc. Perhaps you know her. She is now a European Commissioner for Transport. But 11 years ago, she wrote a book, Rhythms of Business Evolution. And she presented this model. Again, she presented this model that organization started as working environment. Their focus was productivity, and the source for productivity was hard work. The next step, they are learning environments. Organizations were focused and still are focused on the productivity and on the quality and knowledge of the employees was the source to reach the quality. The third evolution mode are thinking organizations, where they based on creativity of each individual. And for thinking organizations, we need at least 30% of all employees to be creative, to participate in the strategic planning, in innovation processes, so that we really can innovate. But this will soon not be enough, again, because of the challenging environment. And the fourth step are conscious organizations, where we need to build on each individual's life energy, on each individual's intuition, on each individual wisdom. And for conscious organizations, there is a need for 70 people to be able to actively collaborate and co-create. This is why it is so important to develop people around us, to give them space to learn, to grow, to learn how to collaborate. A lot of organizations are here around now, thinking, learning. Some of them are already involved into conscious organizations. And with them, also new kinds of structures are emerging, because hierarchical structures are not the right answer anymore. And a lot of people, they feel as they are caught in those structures, and they really cannot participate, cannot give what we need from them. So we need to prepare the space for new organizations. And this leadership comes from the inside. I don't know how I am with the time. If I have the time, I would.
Another, say, 11 minutes.
11 minutes, okay. Then I will briefly.
The session is for 1 hour, so it will last for 5:45.
Yes.
Then
I will briefly tell you the story how the leadership, if you want to be aligned with your values, then you have to live them really when times are nice and also when times are tough. This heart was my symbol when I started my new mission as a crisis manager. Again, with a new company, with wood processing and furniture producer, which was in really deep crisis. And I started there as a crisis manager, and I knew I don't have anything to offer except my heart. Except my heart and my willingness to really do everything what is possible to make a change. And after 2 years of really struggling, I had to realize, I had to say, there's no more things to do, the factory must be closed. But I did it so that it was aligned to my values also in this time, because my values are openness, respect to people, also curiosity, and with the respect to all employees, we closed the company so that it was a little quick. The cake here was baked by the employees on the last day when the company ran, because they felt this respect and they showed the respect also back. So, and this leadership for the conscious organizations really must come from inside. And this is the table that I showed to the men. I go back, further. And this is the table, the circles that I showed to women. But basically, the message is the same. The leadership starts from inside, aligning with your values, with your mission, personal mission, with your vision. And the next circle is energy. You have to be, as a leader, aware of energies, and you have to take care over your energies, not just yours, and the energies also of your organization. Yes. And leadership is to build the place for other leaders to grow, to develop, to learn, and to collaborate. So this was also written in this book. Universal spiritual truths have their place in business. This is one of the titles. And Jane and I have decided that at the end of this session, Jane will tell who will get this book as a present.
Thank you, Sonja. Klopcic. Okay. Difficult to pronounce names correctly. I enjoyed that so much. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed your talk. I was taking notes because I learned a lot from you, and I want to thank you. What I want to talk about is I don't have a PowerPoint presentation, but I thought I would, go about it in a kind of a dictionary definition, first of all, about the different breakup of the words of the meeting today. Collaborative leadership in a conscious organization. So what do we say, what does collaborative mean? The dictionary meaning is when there's involvement of two or more parties working together. Right? So there are two or more parties, more than one, and they're working together. Well, leadership. It is the action of leading a group of people or an organization or the ability to do this. And I think Sonja has very correctly, highlighted a number of elements to leadership. Conscious organization. What does conscious mean? It means to be aware of and responding to one's surroundings, which keeps changing. And Sonja has also, I think, very rightly pointed out about how she had to close down certain firms, SVEA, right? It's one of your firms, yeah. So we have to see what the surrounding is all about, and we have to be aware of it and respond accordingly. It is also having knowledge of something in the surrounding. Organization, all of us know, it's an organized group of people with a particular purpose. So there has to be a purpose to the organization or to the group. So basically it's a number of parties who are working together under the leadership of a particular, maybe a person or persons, with a conscious thought about what is there in the surroundings, what is the aim and objectives, what is the mission, the goals, and it's going towards a particular purpose. My background is, I'm the state nodal officer, which means I'm the focal point for tobacco control in Mizoram. Mizoram is a state in the northeastern part of India. Yes, I'm Indian. I do not look Indian, and I get lots of surprised looks even from the Indians who don't know where Mizoram is. It's in the northeastern part of India. We border Bangladesh and Myanmar. So, that is why we're a little bit different from mainland Indians. I've been looking after the tobacco control program for over now 15 years now, and tobacco is a big challenge in Mizoram because we have the highest tobacco use prevalence in the world. In India, also we're the highest, and in the world. It is 67% of people, of the population, who are using tobacco. Some of them starting very early, and the quit rate is dismally low. It's less than 2% in Mizoram. So when I started this work on tobacco control, I had to do a lot of collaboration. So I'm speaking as a person from the field who has done, taken up this public health initiative. Because of my background as a doctor, it was difficult sometimes to collaborate with certain people. I had to collaborate with the lawmakers. I had to collaborate with the policy makers, with the bureaucrats. Also had to collaborate with the police, because it was the police who needed to come and help us enforce. We had to work with the customs and the excise. So we had to really collaborate with a lot of the government organizations as well as a lot of the non-governmental organizations also. But what I realized is that, as you very rightly pointed out, we need to have collaborative leadership in the different organizations with whom we work. So I've been working with women's organization, other women's organization. I also represent one women organization. I'll come to that later. So we have identified people who are very keen on tobacco control. There are a few people. It's easy to pick them out. It's easy to pick out leaders from different organizations. So that's how we have made them leaders. And so as we have taken forward the tobacco control program in the state, this collaboration has worked really well now for the past 10 years or so. We have people now in different parts, in different organizations, in different parts of my state who are working, very enthusiastically on their own. And I think that gives it a sense of sustainability and viability when people are able to say, this is my program. We need to make them own it. And I think the moment you make people own a particular subject or some interest, that's how it drives it and it sustains itself. Even without money. Sometimes we think that it needs money, funds. Well, initially maybe you do need money, but I have found that even without money, when you just win people's heart, we're able to get a lot of things done, and we're able to achieve a lot of things. So that is about my work on tobacco control. I want to share with you about my work on women issues. I'm the president of the All Mizoram Women's Federation, which is basically an organization. It's an NGO which works on empowerment of women in different fields and different areas. We're trying to get women empowerment done in the political arena, in the religious field, even professionally. We talk a lot about sexual abuse and all those things. So it's a whole range of activities that we take up. And what we found is that when we have good collaborations, we have now affiliate members, about 14 affiliate members, women NGOs have joined our federation. So it's like a very beautiful picture we have now of us here. And right now we're in the sun, we're in the center, and we have all these different planets, the different affiliate members who have joined us. And we are working with them, really collaborating with them and getting them to develop their leadership. And we've been doing taking up different things. I would just like to share 3 particular things that we have done, my organization has done. One is that I'd just like to share a background of my state, Mizoram. Initially, according to the customary laws, a man could divorce his wife just by saying, I divorce you. He doesn't even have to say it thrice, like talaq, talaq, talaq. He just has to say, I divorce you. So the poor woman has to go out with just the clothes on her back.
It is applicable for the women also, like women folk. They can also say that I go.
No, they cannot.
Okay. So
yeah, but it's a one-sided divorce. But if a woman is so fed up of her life with her husband, she can just say, off with you, I'm leaving. So she can just leave. But when the man divorces her, she just has to walk out with nothing. Even if she has, contributed her salary and she has taken a bank loan and she has built a house, she has to leave that house according to the customary law. Which is really sad. There are a lot of really sad stories which make you want to cry. Which brings tears to your eyes.
It's patriarchal.
It's a patriarchal society, yeah. But then, for quite a long time, we've had a sustained drive, a sustained movement. We wanted that legally women should have a recourse. We should have some legislation in place. So, fortunately, in 2014, the Mizoram State Legislative Assembly came out with the Mizo Marriage, Divorce and Inheritance of Property Act, which was a wonderful piece of legislation. Of course, there are little flaws here and there, but now this is that if a woman is divorced, she will get, whatever was her contribution to building up maybe her land or whatever, she's going to get part of it. Even custody of the children. Initially, the woman didn't have any say in the custody of her children. If the husband wanted, he could take all the children and she would be left with none. Just, kicked out of the house. It was that bad. So this elevated the position of women, the status of women in a big way, and we were really happy with it. When the bill came out in December 2014, we said, now what we need to do is we need to get it legislated. We need the rules to come out. The bill has to come out, followed by the act, then the rules. And so when the bill came out in 2014 December, we said, okay, we need to press and see that the rules come out really fast. Otherwise it's going to be a useless piece of legislation. It will just be lying in some file in the government, and it would not be of any use. So we managed to, we held a press conference. You've got to use the mass media. We held a press conference, made them very sensitive to whatever issue it was, and we got them to give us a really good earned media, good coverage, media coverage, and so even the government said, okay, we need to get it done fast. So we got that out. Then another legislation which has given women an opportunity to be active politically is the 33% reservation. This was because of the legislation, which is the Lushai Hills District Village Council Act of 2014, where 33% reservation was given for women. I know that some women do not like the word reservation. We feel that on our own we are capable and we can do what we have to do. We do not need reservation. But what I have seen is that unless we have reservation, men make the rules in such a way that it is difficult to step out of that. It is very difficult to come out and break the boundaries. So we need reservations even for women themselves to realize that yes, I can do it. There are many women who still do not realize that they can do it. And as I said, I'm from the Northeast. There's a state in the Northeast who was trying to get this 33% reservation through, and they could not because there was so much of resistance to it. There were public buildings and public property was destroyed, and they could not pass this in their legislative assembly. And some women, actually, the women in that state said, no, we do not want this reservation. We do not want it yet. We do not think, we are maybe capable of it. So it was a woman. So sometimes we need to have an attitudinal change. It's an unconscious bias, even in a woman's mind. So we need to change that. So this has helped the reservation. The Lushai Hills District Village Council Act 2014 has helped the Mizo women in participating in politics at various levels. And so this is going to be a good training field for women to keep participating in politics. Then another advancement.
Just interrupt you. Like we have a picture, women of the Northeast, they only run the show.
Oh.
So is it like, are we getting the real picture? Because, or is it just to, it's an eyewash for us to understand?
That's a really good question, which I got before also outside. If people in the Northeast, the women in the Northeast are supposed to be generally more progressive and more advanced as compared to women elsewhere. But if you see the scale, if you see what the points which are assessed one is that, are the women able to select their own husband? Now in mainland India, they're not able to select their own husband. They're mostly arranged marriages. In the Northeast, yes, we do fortunately get to select our own husbands. So that is supposed to be empowerment. So you see what I'm trying to talk about. So the points on which this scale, of being empowered and not empowered is, if you see that, yes, women in the Northeast are generally more, progressive. In fact, Meghalaya is a matriarchal society. The children take the mother's name, the inheritance goes to the youngest daughter, so it's like that. But in spite of that, in Meghalaya, if you see, in the political scenario, there are very few women politicians still. And it's a Christian state like Mizoram. You do not find female participation in church. I mean, men have made the rules so well that they're able to shut up the woman. Yeah. So sad to say that is the story.
Jane, can I ask you a question? What about Women Economic Forum for Indian women? How is this platform for you that you will cooperate, not to understand that one part of India is more advanced or takes different steps? How do you use this platform for collaboration between Indian leaders?
Okay. This for me is the first time that I'm attending a forum of this kind. It is an honor, and I've been learning a lot from different sessions. I think what the Women Economic Forum needs to do is the Indian portion of it, the Indian country part of it, perhaps can have a smaller gathering, and we can get women from different parts of the country to interact. Then we realize that, like what you said, women in Northeast are able to select their own husband, so why can't we? And if your husband is beating you up, there are legal laws,
Even like in places like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh, they are not even, they are not even allowed to look at their husband before marriage.
Absolutely.
And even the term dowry. If the man is into a government job, so the bride's father, he has to pay more than 20 lakhs just to get such a groom.
That's the bride money, dowry. I mean, for those who do not know, it's bride money, which
is very shabby, because India is a country I'm sorry, I'm just taking 2 minutes of yours.
Yes, that's fine.
So the thing is that India is we are, we always say that it's unity in diversity. The picture out in Northeast, the picture out in West. I'm coming from West Bengal, Kolkata. The picture in Delhi, Mumbai is completely different.
Yeah.
We are as if we are coming from different countries.
Yeah.
In Mumbai, you can roam around at 2 a.m. in the night, but in Delhi, it's just impossible.
Very unsafe.
Very unsafe. Yeah. So it's like a Women Economic Forum, as Sonia, the kind of question you asked is really interesting. That it's a kind of forum we are getting here. We can collaborate more.
Absolutely.
Even we can, talk about we can talk on leadership and how we can grow together.
Absolutely.
If some of this kind happens in maybe East India, then Jane, me, even we can contribute our thinking.
Yes.
And together we can change.
Networking. I think that networking is very important, and to have a platform for sharing. Because I learn a lot by sharing with other women. Even back in Mizoram, where single parent, being a single woman, is now slowly becoming a big issue with the divorce rate. Divorce rate is one of the highest in Mizoram. So that is a big issue. So we have been having heart-to-heart.
People are, accusing this women empowerment.
It is
in general, you are empowered, you can earn your own bread and butter. So that's why you are not giving value to the man, and that's why you are a divorcee. So it's all, end of the day, it's fault of the women only.
I think it's just a matter of women now awakening to their rights and the knowledge and able to fight for it. So we've been having this heart-to-heart conversation with women and other women's group, and we find that it is very useful. So if we can have such kind of a forum where women are able to pour out their problems, which is again different for, as we said, different areas. So if you can, that is one thing. If you can take out, that would be wonderful. Thank you for that question. So another thing which we have done through collaboration is we write a lot of letters, to people, important people. So we have not had a woman MLA, a woman legislator in my state for the last 27 years. Okay. So is that empowerment? It isn't. So 27 years, no woman representative in the legislative assembly, which is very sad. But in the last election, the chief minister, he won from 2 constituencies. So we said he had to vacate one. And so we wrote immediately to the chief minister. We said, okay, we congratulated him and all that, and then we said, in the constituency which you're vacating, please nominate a woman candidate. And she was nominated, and she won. And even at the time when she won, the chief minister actually gave the credit to us. And we had collaborated with other women NGOs of Mizoram. So collaboration works really well, and we need to have more and more such collaborations to get things moving. So I think I don't know how much time.
Will we ask the participants to interrupt?
Yes, you have another 18 minutes.
Okay, so I'll just wind up my talk, and then I think we will open for questions. So what I want to wind up by saying that we need to collaborate with like-minded individuals as well as organizations also. Sometimes there are individuals who are so enthusiastic, but they do not really belong to any big organization. So we need to be able to identify such people. There have been tremendous help financially, emotionally, and in different ways. They give us advice. So we need to collaborate with such leaders and also find the organizations. We need to have sensitized people. And we need to sensitize more and more people, especially the politicians and people who are in positions of power. And as I've already mentioned, let us keep writing, because writing is very important. When you sign up, when you send a petition, when you do anything, when you write it, it is there, it is on record, and people usually take some action. And if that doesn't work, go to the press. I found that the press is actually very, very positive towards on good issues. So that is, I think, the little bit that I have to say about collaborative leadership. Thank you for the questions, and I think Sonia and I, we open the floor for questions.
I have a question. Thank you so much. Thank you for enlightening all of us. I have an observation that if I want to change, suppose I want to become a leader, and collaborative leadership in a conscious organization. Okay, so alone I can't be the leader, right? So I require people with me, even like-minded people, as you said, like-minded people, and even they want to change, they want to grow with me. Then only I'll be able to, transfer my leadership qualities, on them or something like that. So, is it possible to grow alone? It's not possible to grow alone. Then how to motivate your surrounding to become a leader?
First, I believe that you can be a leader also if you are alone. Especially in tough times, there will not be people around you. And you need to stay loyal to yourself, to your internal GPS. And you stay you, and you are continuing to live this leadership from inside you. So it could be a contradiction, somebody could say, but no, I believe that leadership is not connecting with a number of people around you. And I'm talking around you, not behind you, because this new leadership are people around you. So to develop your leadership role, this is your creation only. And it comes really from your inspirations, from your insight. What do you really want to, what kind of impact do you want to create in the world? And then leadership first means that you take responsibility, you assume the responsibility for your development, not to pass it to any others. That's why I also wanted to offer my view on the kind of writing letters. This could be a step, but to be really a leader is to go really in the contact, to find a way to open a dialogue with the person. because leadership is done through relationship also with others. And relationship you cannot establish on distance with writing letters or with writing emails, which is very, very popular. So to open a dialogue, to step further, to let the people know what you are stand for, what is your vision, what is your mission, what is your contribution. And then this is leadership of the new era.
So you talked a lot about the, as we move toward this evolution to this new conscious organization, about starting with your personal values and beliefs. And so my question is, can you talk, do I have to repeat? So you talked a lot about this evolution to this conscious organization and leading, moving from a working environment to a thinking environment to a learning environment to a wise environment, or wisdom. So you said it starts with the son and it starts with your personal values, your personal self. So one of the things I was thinking about and just want you to maybe expound a little bit more on is every individual has a unique and different set of core values, and they all aren't great. So with those people who are in positions, especially as organizations are shifting from hierarchical to conscious, what are some things that people need to think about to recognize where their core values don't align with where they need to go?
Great question. Yes, each of us has our own values, and we need to talk about these values, and we need to reflect also, at least at the end of the day, why we did something, why we said something, how was this aligned with our values, how was this aligned with the person we want to become. And that's why I like these steps for individual consciousness, how it evolves, because it's a roadmap. It's a roadmap for you also to, when you reflect, that you see, did I do this because of my anger? Did I do this out of fear? Did I do this out of my curiosity? Or what was the reason that I do this? And reflecting on this and trying to really grow, it changes also your set of values. And talking about this with your colleagues, it creates a new set of values. We have some companies, for example, in Slovenia, they already made some steps of this transition, and I can mention one. Steklarna Hrastnik, my fellows from Slovenia know this company. They have now crystallized only 3 values for the complete company: pure, heart, and I don't remember, passion. Pure, heart, and passion. And purity means purity in all discussions, in all dialogues. Really put the things open on the table, not hide anything else, because there's no time for hiding. There's no time to wearing masks or to be kind.
To see that overall effect, it will take a longer time.
Mm-hmm.
But on a day-to-day basis, I think, aware or unaware, we try to enact the masculine traits more than we harness our own feminine emotions.
I do agree. I think we need to control the tears, and we need to become more masculine in that approach. Yes, but I found that sometimes when you're very emotional and you share with your team, and it's something to do with work, of course, it should not be something about your personal life, that it actually helps them together and able to actually come up with better outcomes out of that.
3 minutes.
I think this is also an evolution. 20 years ago, for example, it was normal that only masculine way was present in the organizations. Also organizations were at that time hierarchical, the world was different, and so on. So it was normal that also women who came in this world started to act with masculine energy. But these times are not the times for masculine energy anymore. They are time for both, for feminine and masculine. Both we need. We need to complement both. And we have already in Slovenia a lot of organizations where, okay, we need them more, but still we have organizations with women on the top and also working with feminine energy. But always there's a complement again with men and with masculine energy. And we need both. Also, only feminine energy will not be enough. Because in the business you have to complement everything. You have to complement competition with collaboration. You have to complement care, support with focus and goal settings. So we need both. And each energy has its own qualities. And this is what we need to understand and learn, to respect both qualities. Because so far in business world, only the masculine energy and masculine qualities were respected and cherished. And now there's a learning for all, for women and for men, to understand that we need both. Yes, and you can be completely feminine also in this business world if you have a complement in other person. Otherwise, it's better to have both energies in you.
Thank you. Is there any last question that I want to ask? I have another question to ask. Is there anything? Okay, please.
Maybe more of a comment to what Jane was saying. It seems that what you talk mostly about is actually basic human rights that were just for so long denied, especially to women. And the situation that you were describing was as such in every other nation, but a few decades ago, maybe.
So maybe what good can come from forums like this is that women around the world, we can learn what has been done in certain countries and societies. Because it's so amazing that almost all of us come from the same point, and that women were put down for such a long time. In some societies, it was faster to get ahead. And that can be used strongly there where you have where it's so much more difficult for you to do that, but you can catch up much sooner. And I congratulate you for what you've been saying, what you have been doing, and it's so important and good work. And I believe that when we meet in a couple of years, we'll be saying that you have 1/3 or 1/2 of the female parliament members and workers.
Thank you both of you, like Sonia and Jane, like it was beautiful and
You decide.
Jane has a job to do.
okay, so as the event actually time is actually up, I know, so Jane has something to do.
Yeah.
Jane?
So I have Sonia's book, The Energy Inside Leadership, Stories of Collaboration and Change from the Heart of Europe. I think which is going to be really interesting reading. And, well, not that I'm biased, but I would like to present it to, I'm going to walk to her, for the very encouraging talk that you have given. And I hope...
Please, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
empower you to choose among anybody else but that
this table. That is why I avoided this table.
Not, because the table is a Slovenian table. So I think that this book has to go around the world.
Okay.
So now it's.
In which case,
You must have it.
I must have it.
Yes.
Can I?
भैया भैया
Thank you so much.
क्लोज नहीं आ रहा तुम आ रहे हो चलो थैंक यू
One group photograph, please.
सेक्शन ग्रुप फोटोग्राफ
Can we take a group? Yeah, please.
फोटो कॉपी आगे करा लो कॉपी आगे करा लो उठिएगा कॉपी
On this one, you just double.
ओके
And it comes up.
वीडियो क्लिप का फोटो बना यार ये कौन सी सेट है भाई ये कौन सी सेट है
Please come. We need you. Where's my mobile? I wish you could get it on my mobile too.
I gave it to you.
Is that my phone?
Yes, I gave it to you.
Good. Thanks, Tanvi. Okay.
इसके पहले पिक्चर या दिस
Can we fit? I don't know. Okay. Smile.
Smart.
This one book center book
The book in the center. That's a good idea. Yeah. Wow, I'm so happy. I was just saying, I wish I had this book.
See, it was meant for you.
It was, huh?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
हो गया क्या क्या तो मैं जो कुछ करोगे लास्ट कौन सी जापान अरे यार